What's good, y'all? Welcome to my review for this episode of My Hero Academia Season 6. Phenomenal episode as always, guys. Another banger episode was this episode. We actually got some stuff cut from MVA that was originally cut from the MVA brought back into the anime in this episode, which was really cool to see. That was pretty cool to see Bones actually go back and put stuff, then probably take some of the cut content from Season 5 and put it back into the anime. That was pretty cool to see. But yeah, man, one other thing, guys, I want to quickly mention before I jump right in is actually I finally saw Hero Walk World's Heroes Mission. My review is already up on the channel, so if you guys are curious what I thought of the movie, fucking loved it. Definitely check out my review. If I remember, I'll leave it up in the iCards above for you guys, so you guys can go check that video out if you guys want to. But yeah, the movie was awesome, man. This episode was phenomenal, man. So let's just jump right in. So we start the episode off with the cut content that they cut from MVA brought back into the anime, which is actually kind of funny because I actually remember Chibi when this episode was originally supposed to be in the anime when MVA was getting adapted. He's like, oh, maybe they'll bring it back in the anime later, and he was right. It took him till season 6, about the end of the first core, but we got this cut content from MVA brought back in, which was pretty cool to see. I didn't think we would get to see this content back. I thought they were just like, whatever, they'll cut it. It's probably not gonna be brought back. So to see actually Bones like come back to it and bring it back into the series in season 6, I thought was pretty cool. Another reason, a couple other things I kind of saw, because I checked Twitter to make sure this was the cut content from the manga that I did see, and wasn't just like, this wasn't just, you know, what was already happening in the manga. This was the cut content from MVA. Is that people were theorizing that maybe the reason Bones either did this is, one, this was always part of the plan, and Bones was always planning on cutting it out to bring it back in for season 6. Another thing that people were saying was because due to the backlash of MVA from season 5. I also heard another reason that could be done is because apparently in the manga currently, Spinner has been like becoming more of a prominent character right now in the manga. So that could be another reason why Bones put this back in, because this is some huge character development for him. Either way, man, I'm glad to see that actually some stuff from MVA was brought back into the anime. I just thought this was cool, man. That Bones actually went back and put this back in. Anyway, we get some narration from I think Mr. Compress. The voice we are hearing in the narration sounds completely different than how he normally sounds, so I don't know if it's the same VA or just someone else. I'm assuming it's Mr. Compress. He's just changing up his voice. But either way, he said, "No one asked me about my past. It was a gathering of crooked, self-centered people." And then that's when we find out that we see like this like haunted house kind of looking thing out in the distance before we walk right in, and we find out who the guys in these skull masks called. They're called the Creature Rejection Clan, also known as CRE or CRC, excuse me. Which, given the fact that, you know, Spinner looks like a lizard, I'm sure they're not particularly fans of it, which we do see as they wonder why Shigaraki and the others are in here, and they're like, oh, so they got a lizard with them, that's repulsive, and then they finally start to realize that they are the League of Villains. Mr. Compress says we're looking for stuff to steal, and then we just see him start rummaging through like these like statues on like this one stand thing. Don't know what any of this stuff is. He's like, yes, I know, burglary is not very cool. I wish we didn't have to do this. And that's of course when they start attacking me, like this is a sacred place. Leave this place with like these like sticks with like little candles on them. They start trying to hit the League with. Shigaraki, of course, like instantly disintegrates one of them, tell them like, hey, if you want us to leave quickly, you know, let us finish what we came here for, and we'll be out of your hair. This doesn't stop. They all start attacking them. Of course, the League makes quick work of them, and we actually see that Toga's like needle on like her like blood sucking thing actually broke off. Which, you know, that's kind of sad. And then we have Twice looking through the sand, trying to find anything that's good. And then he's like, "Oh, is this me? No, this is Trunk." he's searching around. We also have Mr. Compress mentioning how his arm is kind of like cranky right now. He needs to get a new one. And once again, you have Twice switching personality. Where he says, "Oh, it's a good idea. We don't have money for that." So that's when we transition over to like their little hideout they had, their little mini like, you know, hideout they had for MVA. Where once again we see Toga and Twice searching through whatever stuff they have, and then once again they can't find anything other than like Toga finds this necklace that this was pretty funny though. This was pretty funny where Toga says, "Oh, isn't this cute? It looks great." And then Twice says, "Oh, it looks good on you." But then when he switches personalities again, he says, "That makes you look like an old hat. Throw it away." That got a laugh out of me. I thought that was pretty funny. So anyway, Spinner asks him how long we plan on living like this. Shigaraki tells him for as long as he is. We then get that line we did here in season 5 where you had where Mr. Compress talked about, hey, if we worked with the Saikai rather than just destroying them, we probably could have been eating sushi right now. Dobby comes in there wondering, surprised that everyone's in here. Dobby asks, like, am I the only one that's actually looking for new members? Twice tells him, oh, what you really do is just burning people that have even brought a single member back here. Dobby tells him no because they're all trash. They're all trash with just no ambition. Toga then tells him, like, oh, I think you're just a bad judge of character. And then I love Dobby says, I don't want to hear that from you. I just thought that was funny. So then Spinner asked Shigaraki, what is our goal? And Spinner tells him that he grew up in the countryside where people still had old-fashioned values, and that he was looked down upon because he looked like a lizard. And that's how we thought things were. He was empty. That was until he finally saw Stain's final words on the evening news. This is the first time he felt constrained by the book, and he couldn't sit still. And then we actually see, this I thought was pretty cool, where we see him kind of like his outfit that he was already wearing, and see it fading into like his new villain costume. Although one thing I thought was kind of funny was the back of his shirt, the white shirt he wears. On the back of it, it says "You must die." If that isn't an edgelord shirt, I don't know what is. But the way this man was dressing with the cup noodles and everything, his hair is covering his face and everything, man. Like, Spinner Loki comes off like he was like a massive edgelord at this time. But anyway, and one thing I thought was pretty cool was that when we get to the shop, when we see Stain's face and Spinner's face with his hair still covering his eyes, they actually like phase the two shots together, like overlapping each other, before it fades out completely to just Spinner with the mask on and everything. I thought that shot looked really, really cool. And once again, Dobby, you got Dobby, always a troll, saying, oh, so you're just an empty cosplayer? And he says, yes, I am empty. He then grabs Shigaraki and once again asks him, what is our goal, Shigaraki? And we get once again more narration from Mr. Compressor. He says that until 6 months ago, we were so poor we had to worry about when we would get our next meal. And that's when we fade out back over to current day, where we see once again Spinner still has that weird ass face as he's getting strangled by Best Genius. Once again, I must ask, does Horikoshi have some beef with Spinner that I'm unaware of? Either way, Spinner, as the life is getting sucked out of him, says that he'll buy them some time so that he can wake up Shigaraki. And then finally, he's able to move his hand enough to get on his body, and then using his quirk, takes out a huge chunk of his body from like his leg, giving him enough time to finally let the binding release so that he is finally able to escape. And with his hand free, he is then able to put Shigaraki and Spinner in one of his little like marble blue ball things, whatever. And then actually, Best Genius, as he sees Mr. Compress running away with Shigaraki, he actually is impressed by Mr. Compress and actually praises him, like, hey, that's some incredible gall he had. But the wound is fatal. And then Best Genius actually then like tightens up the bounding in Mr. Compress's actual clothing so that Alvito once again stop him. But Mr. Compress counters it by just ripping off his clothes, by using his quirk to rip off his clothes, and which also seems like it also took like parts of his body as well, because you see like these huge open wounds, which honestly looked surprisingly graphic, man. Like, I know a lot of people have been complaining about the censorship of season 6 for certain moments, like with Shigaraki and everything, which, you know, fair enough, but, you know, like I said, that's kind of out of Bones' control. But it seems like that either Bones has found smarter ways to get around the censorship, or maybe Toho or whatever channel they're on has loosened up the restraints of censorship, because you guys have been noticing that season 6 has been surprisingly gory in places. Sure, we did have like Shigaraki's jaw dangling, you know, completely dislocated like it was supposed to in the manga and everything, but the gore we have gotten has been surprisingly graphic. But anyway, he rips off the clothes, and then we find that we also see that Skeptic has also been captured by the bounding as well, and of course he's able to get him out. We then get a flashback to a man by the name of Oji Harima, who is actually Mr. Compress's great-great-grandfather. And we find out that this dude was also a thief, and he was basically Robin Hood, you know, stealing from the rich, giving back to the poor. But in this case, he only stole from the fake heroes that basically just that only became heroes to line their pockets, and would take their money and give it back to the poor, and hopefully, you know, cause some sort of social reform. Then we cut over to Burning as she's still fighting off against the Nomu. Then this one hero, I think his name was like Drill Master. The dude straight up looks like a Megazord right out of Power Rangers, Loki. He comes in there and he gets like kind of like like the top part of his body gets eaten by like the worm Nomu. But then he like uses his drill to drill a hole out the top where the Nomu's brain is. But we see some blood splatter there. But then we hear like a crack where it seems like the Nomu ate him and killed him. But it seems like that the pro or that drill master might have killed him, might have took the Nomu with him. It was kind of hard to tell for certain, but either way, they both got stabbed and they both got fucked up, regardless of if they both died or just one of them died. whatever the case may be. So Burns fight out against the Nomus. Then we cover back to Izuku, or the plane where One For All usually is. As we hear the first user of One For All tell Izuku to wake up, Knight. And that's when Izuku finally wakes up. He looks around, hoping to see where Todoroki is. Todoroki's standing right next to him, is just holding his arm, looking pissed off of what everything's happening. And then of course once again Izuku's spider sense once again activates. And then we find out what this is. It is from the first. It is from, I think it says the fourth court, but I think this is from the fourth user of One For All, and it's called Danger Sense. Horikoshi, you are not even trying to hide this, bro. Like, you might as well have called it Spider Sense at that point, because we're not stupid. We all know this is Horikoshi's way of giving Izuku spider sense by calling it Danger Sense. I mean, the name fits. It works the same as Spider Sense. His spider sense tells people, and of course other Spider-Men of danger, of pending danger. So it's just kind of funny. He just calls it Danger Sense. Like, Horikoshi Sensei ain't even trying to hide this, bro. He ain't even trying to hide his love for Spider-Man and just give like Black Whip is obviously meant to be Spidey's web shooters, and now he has Spider Sense. What's this? He's gonna be able to crawl on walls? I swear to God, if one of these next gives him the power to crawl on walls, I'm going to laugh my fucking ass off, bro. But yeah, Izuku has spider sense now confirmed. Either way, he falls right back unconscious. We then get back over to Mr. Compress as he charges towards Mirito, and he says, "Now relax and enjoy the show." But right before he can finish on, Mirito like spears him. I couldn't tell if he hit him with like a clothesline or like a spear. It was kind of hard to tell from the way it was shot. But either way, he attacks. But either way, he gets to Mr. Compress. "Oh, come on, bro, let me sell everything about my family first." I just thought that was so funny that Horikoshi did like a little joke about that trope in anime where like the main character will just stop or whatever, will just stop whatever they're doing to let the villain finish off their monologue and give up their origin story. Mirito's like, "Nah, fuck this shit, bro. You going down, bitch." Which I just thought that was really funny, just to hear Horikoshi poke fun at that little anime trope. That was probably one of my favorite. That's honestly probably one of my favorite moments of the entire episode. Man, that was really funny. Anyway, we get some narration from Mr. Compress I guess we figure out how he came up with this plan. Where earlier, as they were getting over here, he saw some Nomus fighting off against pro heroes, and he knows that Shigaraki can control the Nomus. So if he's able to fully regain conscience, he can get the Nomu and he can bring the Nomu over here, and of course fix the situation that there are. And he mentions on that he left everything to luck, and that he had Dabi and Skeptic into Spinner's scarf. So he says that I'm just an assistant, I'm a supporting character, and that Spinner and Todoroki starts as he's grabbing on to Mirio's cape. And then Spinner's like back to trying to shake Shigaraki away. He's trying to get him away, and that's when he finds the remaining hand that's been burnt to a crisp as well of Shigaraki's hands still there. And then we get a little flashback to season 5 when Shigaraki said that even though it makes that the hands make him feel sick, it makes his mind feel calm in a way. And so then we see that Mirio, this man is like maybe like 2 feet away from Spinner as he's trying to put the thing back, the mask back on him. And I thought the shot of this looked really cool as Spinner removes his hands off his face, and we see his eye glow. Before we cut over to like a flashback to Shigaraki's childhood home as well as his family as they get burned away, like a photo's getting burned. I thought that was also a really nice touch how they did that, man. So he finally wakes up, and he uses radio wave that sends basically everybody flying backwards. Izuku's spider sense once again activates, and that's when we see that Shigaraki has once again risen. Although this time, it seems that his consciousness, or whatever you want to call it, or rather, All For One's consciousness that's inside him, or his spirit, or whatever the fuck you want to call it, has fully merged with Shigaraki. As he said, as he says, Toma really had some great friends. And then Spinner instantly notices a change in his voice, and of course so do we. Heart is power. The stronger his heart holds onto his origin, the stronger my will becomes as I coexist. And we see, this is before we get like a full shot of Shigaraki's new face, but we see that his face, and basically almost his entire body, has almost completely turned over to into All For One, excuse me. Because you guys know, All For One, his like eyes and everything, the top part of his face is just completely missing. You know, it's just skin, you know. The same thing now happens to Shigaraki, where once again his eyes are just mysteriously gone. His eyes have just mysteriously vanished, for whatever reason as they emerge consciousness. And then that's when we get closer to we were really get to see All For One's face kind of like implanted on top of the rest of Shigaraki's body, which also looks pretty cool. The voice I also thought I thought the way that his voice sounded was really cool. I'm curious to know how this is going to sound in the dub, but it seems like what they did was take All For One's Japanese voice actor and like overlap his audio on top of Shigaraki's Japanese voice actor and just kind of like merge the two audios together as they all talk. That's at least what it sounded like to me. I could be wrong. It could be just something else, but it sounded like it was like, or it could have just been all For One's Japanese VA. But it sounded like they just overlapped their audios together. It looks like. I could be wrong on that, but that's the way. But that's at least how it sounded to me. I'll know for certain what's a dub episode there, because then I'll know for certain because I recognize the dub VA's voices a lot better than I do the Japanese voices. Anyway, that's when the rest of the Nomu kind of see what's going on there, and they start running over towards Shigaraki and the others. And All For One, I guess I have no idea how to refer to Shigaraki now because it's like his consciousness has been merged with All For One. I have no idea if I'm supposed to say Shigaraki. Is it All For One? Is it Shiga All For One? Whatever the case may be, All For One, I'll probably flip-flop for the rest of this review about how to refer to him. All For One comments that if he uses radio waves properly, he can send a specific signals right to the Nomus directly. And one thing I also gotta say, I love Shigaraki or All For One's new design now with like all like these like reddish veins all over his body. It looks with like connected to like the little holes in his hand that for absorbing the course and the radio wave attack. It looks really cool, especially with like the exposed like flesh on around his body, man. It looks really cool, man. I fucks with this new design Shigaraki is rocking with now. So then we get back to the Nomus. Best Genius manages to grab him, and we get closer on his eye. The dude's eyes are completely bloodshot. He's straight up crying blood as well, man. Looks absolutely insane and very badass, if you ask me. We see Mirio as well as Shigaraki Todoroki, excuse me, try to get back in the fight. And that's when Spinner asks him, what's next? And Shigaraki tells him that we are going to withdraw. And so he tells like, oh, what Mr. Caprese? He's seriously injured. What about Makia sleeping and Toga's supposed to be here? So we get a flashback to that episode. I think last week it was, or maybe the week before that when Spinner was talking with Toga like, hey, be careful, meet back with us. And so then that's when Spirit puts his hand on his shoulder and says, are you going to abandon your comrades? And that's when he says, Iguchi. And like I love, first up, I'm assuming Iguchi is Spinner's actual first name or whatever. Which, by the way, have we actually forgotten Spinner's actual like full name before in the anime before this point? I feel like we probably did when he was first introduced in season 3, but I honestly can't remember for certain. But either way, I love the shocked expression on Spinner's face when he says his name, man. I thought that was like really well done, and that's when he kind of puts his arm away from his shoulder, and he asks him, "Who are you?" He tells him that Shigaraki is already lost to All For One in Endeavor due to, of course, all the damage that he sustained, and of course getting burned to a crisp by Endeavor. And so then he says that this body needs to rest, and that and Spinner has no idea what the hell he's going on about. He's asking if you're going to abandon your comrades, and he tells him, yes, I am. He'll pay for the defeat in a sportsmanlike way, all for my sake. And so then we get to Bakugo and the others trying to, once again, with Nejire as well, get back into the fight to try and stop Shigaraki. We actually then get to see this amazing shot of Ida using his Respro Turbo, if I pronounced that correctly. It looks really cool, man. That shot looked really fucking sick. So he says that he's going to take care of this. They'll take Izuku and Bakugo to the hospital. Heroes are meant to save him. And then this is when we low-key almost get like I wouldn't be surprised if this is a little teaser by Horikoshi. He's like saving this fight for his back pocket whenever we will see Togata and Shigaraki like have a straight-up full-on duel. That would also be pretty cool. It's kind of solid, man. Mirio and Shigaraki would face off against each other one-on-one. That I think would actually be a pretty cool fight, seeing how All For One or Shigaraki will end up fighting someone like Togata. But as he charges towards him, all Shigaraki does is using his little tendril things to like knock him out. And All For One, I guess, comments that he can't deal with attacks that he can't predict. We get back to Todoroki trying to chase after Shigaraki along with Ida, but then he blows them both away with a shield attack. And then we see Izuku trying to will himself back up, telling himself like, get up, get the move, Izuku, move. And of course, you guys will see my reaction, bro. I'm like, bro, this is when I get like really invested in the episode. I'm like screaming at my TV, telling Izuku to move his ass, man. So you'll get to see that in the reaction when the reaction of this episode when that drops probably tomorrow. And as Izuku is trying to will himself up, you see like a spark of windfall going around like his mouth, which I thought looked pretty cool. So as Shigaraki, or I guess All For One, like I said, I don't know how I'm supposed to refer to him now. It's a Shigaraki All For One, Shiga All For One, you know, like whatever the case may be, how I'm supposed to refer. I'll probably flip-flop the rest of these reviews. Whatever the case may be, as he's running away with the nose, Izuku finally manages to get himself back up, using Black Whip to basically like levitate in the air, bouncing Black Whip off the floor to keep him up in the air. And you know, All For One, he comments, you know, is even kind of impressed and praises Izuku a little bit, saying that his tenacity is at least comparable to All Might. So once again, All For One uses his tendrils on Izuku, which he manages to dodge him, and finally manages to latch onto Shigaraki. And the shot itself, I thought, looked really cool. So Shigaraki tells him, "Let us meet again when this body is complete, useless Izuku Midori," which I thought was funny. Izuku tells him to shut up, and then he says, "We shall meet again," as he uses his shield attack once again on Izuku, sending him to the floor. And this is when Might U starts playing, which I thought was amazing. First off, you guys know I love this song and how it was used in season 4, as well as Two Heroes, or Heroes Rise, excuse me. Two Heroes is the first Hero Walk movie, but I loved it there, and I thought it was really well. And I thought putting it here was really good, and kind of like really made it to really sell just how defeated the heroes are, and how defeated the heroes are. I thought the song was a really nice touch. Speaking of the music as well, first off, the music, I didn't mention this in my review last week, which I completely forgot to, because I even mentioned after I finished recording, I was like, shit, like I forgot to mention the music, and I meant to re-record a part to put it back in the review, but I never ended up doing it. But the music in last week's episode was also fantastic as well. But the music playing during the Shigaraki spinner section was also really good as well. I love the music. I love the song they were playing there. But anyway, Might U starts playing as Izuku falls to the ground, and he says that he'll never be able to forgive Shigaraki. But back then, when he was swallowed up by one frog, it was like he was asking to be rescued. And then we get like these panning shots of the different pros as we see what happened to them, and of course the defeated bodies of all the heroes that have been defeated. We see Bakugo, we see Endeavor, we see Best Genius falling from his wires. The shot of Endeavor looked really fucking good though, with like the blood, with like his mouth open, the blood dripping out of his mouth, and everything, man. That shot looked fucking sick. We of course see Ida, Mirio, Nejire as well as Might U starts playing. Like I said, I thought this was a perfect use of the song, and I was like to hear it again. We also, of course, see Hawks as well with Mirko and Gran Torino as well as as Aizawa, excuse me. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is where the episode ends. Phenomenal episode. Now, we then get to the next episode preview, where we do get a little teaser, a little preview of what the second ED is going to sound like. They also changed up the cards as well for the episode cards, the title cards for the episodes, which I dig. Like, you guys, I love the red look for this season, but now they changed it to white, and it looks fucking insane, man. It looks amazing. I love the white. It does low-key remind me of the poster for Cocaine Bear, low-key, but I think it looks really sick. And the little bits and pieces we get to hear of the second ED, I couldn't really get a good sound of it because, of course, there's Izuku's, narration on top of it. But I dig the song. From the little bits we heard of it, I really dig the song, man. And yeah, looks like next week is going to be like the little like a bridge between this and the next arc for season 6. Which, like I said before, I'm super excited for the second arc because I saw a couple panels for it when that arc first began in the manga last year, and I'm really excited to see where that goes, man. I'm really hyped for that. But yeah, man, that is from me this review off for you guys. Overall, my final verdict for this episode is going to be a 9.5 out of 10, guys. So hope you guys enjoyed the video. Like if you did, subscribe if you're new. Follow me on my social media if you feel like it. Links are below. And as always, come back for more. See you guys next time.